Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about the early season play of the Charlotte Hornets. If you do go on to enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. That being said, let's go ahead and talk about the Charlotte Hornets. Despite their young star in LaMelo Ball, the Charlotte Hornets continue to be overlooked in the Eastern Conference. The Hornets, despite being under 500 this season at 6-7, continue to show why they must be considered in the Eastern Conference playoff picture. LaMelo Ball has shown improvements and steps forward in his game in his second season in the NBA. Miles Bridges has had a very good start to the year, although has tailed off a bit, is still a front runner for most improved player and is going to continue to want to play well while in a contract year while he has bet on himself. And Terry Rozier, although hasn't had a great start, I would expect to pick up the slack as well, as he has missed a fair portion of their games and is just getting acclimatized back to a new season. Kelly Oubre Jr. has had very good moments early on in the year as well, not to mention that Gordon Hayward is still a member of this team, PJ Washington, amongst others. Charlotte Hornets have to be considered in the Eastern Conference playoff picture. So let's go ahead and talk about some of these top players that are leading the Charlotte Hornets and what that means for them and why that makes them a team you have to consider as part of the Eastern Conference playoff picture moving forward. The Charlotte Hornets are led by what I consider to be their top four or leading four players: LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges, Gordon Hayward, and Terry Rozier. LaMelo Ball, of course, being their former top three pick, now playing very good in year two, shooting more threes and at a better rate this season, which is a big improvement for him and something that'll be very important for the Charlotte Hornets group moving forward. His playmaking continues to be very effective and improving, and continues to be a very good rebounder with his size at the point guard spot. And he's the cornerstone piece for them moving forward. Is going to determine how good this team can be, and ultimately you have to be fairly happy with his progression so far in his second year of his career. Miles Bridges has been very good this year. I think has a much higher ceiling than people have thought previously, but showed out really well when he was playing last year in the starting lineup when there was injuries to LaMelo Ball and Gordon Hayward, and was averaging around 20 points per game then, and is doing that now in the starting lineup. PJ Washington being moved to the bench, Miles Bridges into that starting lineup, and he is not disappointed. He's a lead candidate for most improved player, averaging over 20 points a game, still continues to be a good wing defender, a solid rebounder, and is starting to improve a little bit as a passer and playmaker as well. Really filling out his game in an all-around sense, and is showing why he is a very important piece of the Charlotte Hornets group moving forward. Alongside that, they also have Gordon Hayward, who of course is not at his prime anymore, but is still a very important piece to this team, playing the second most minutes for a reason. He's averaging over 18 points a night, still knows how to get a bucket from mid-range, attacking the rim from the three-point line, whether it's on his own shot, catch and shoot, and can be a decent rebounder as well, and a bit of an underrated playmaker on a team that doesn't necessarily need him to be an amazing one, but he can give you a bit of playmaking as well. And then Terry Rozier, who, as I mentioned, hasn't had a great start to the year, but looked much better last year in Charlotte than he did his previous year, got his max extension this summer, and he was injured to start the year. He's going to take a little bit of time to get used to things, get in the groove with the team, but I don't have any doubt within a few weeks he will be playing at closer to last year levels of Terry Rozier, and is just going to raise the ceiling even more for Charlotte and just make them that much more competitive. But that, even in of itself, just speaks to the fact that they have four pretty darn good solid players on this team. Not necessarily all-stars, but some pretty solid players around some pretty good depth. Kelly Oubre and PJ Washington, of course, are the most notable ones coming off of their bench. PJ Washington started for this group for the last couple of years and is now coming off of the bench. Still adjusting there, hasn't played great this year. I've seen some time at the 4 and at the 5, but I think will naturally fill in well to that role, as I think it's where he's best suited at this point in time in his NBA career. I give them a little bit of rim protection and a little bit of spacing and from mid-range and a bit from deep. Kelly Oubre has been very hot and cold this year, but when he's been hot, he's been very hot. He started a little bit this year when Terry Rozier was injured, and has given them some very good scoring production off of the bench. I believe it was a 37 PC drop the other night. So he's been very good at moments this year, and will continue to be an important piece for them off of the bench. Outside of that, then I'll talk about Mason Plumlee after. We'll talk about the center position in a little bit more depth. McDaniels has been good this year, much better from deep so far efficiency-wise, and continues to give them some good activity, defense, and length. Has some very good moments. throughout the season so far this year. Cody Martin similarly has had some games where he's played some very good, valuable minutes as well, shooting very well from deep, giving them some good spacing, as well as some good energy on the defensive end and some good rebounding. And Ish Smith, although he's had a few DNPs recently, a coach's decision, he's looked very good as well this year. He's had a game where he even forced LaMelo Ball out of the lineup in the fourth quarter, where Ish Smith was just rolling, and LaMelo Ball just said, hey, no, look, like, Ish Smith, let him do his thing, which I full credit to LaMelo Ball for that leadership and recognizing that in the second year of his career. But Ish Smith has given them some very good, valuable minutes off of the bench so far. Still, even at his age, on the worst end of 30, very good speed and athleticism, can attack the rim well and set up well for others, and shooting from deep fairly well at moments this year, which is surprising for him as well. Offensively, they're good, which makes sense from what we've talked about. Kelly Oubre, LaMelo Ball, Gordon Hayward, Miles Bridges, very good offensive team. It's number 7 in terms of offensive rating so far this season. But the defense, not so much. LaMelo Ball, not a great defender. Terry Rozier, a fine defender. Miles Bridges, a solid defender, but Gordon Hayward at this point in time, not a great one. You don't really have any great rim protection. And as a unit, cohesively, it just hasn't really happened yet. Kelly Oubre, not a great defender. Peter Washington, not a great defender. This team on paper, to me, should be better than a bottom 3 defense in the NBA. But as of right now, that's where they are. They are a bottom 3 defensive efficiency, defensive rating team in the league. And the big reason for that is the center position. And last year, it was their problem, offensively and defensively, with Cody Zeller. And Mason Plumlee is better. Don't get me wrong, he's better than Cody Zeller. I like him a fair bit more. A solid rebounder, give you a little bit on the offensive end, and make a bit of an underrated passer. But he's one of the worst starting centers in the league. That's just a fact. He's at the most generous, in my opinion, a bottom 5 starting center. But yeah, he's just not a great starting center. And that's the biggest downfall to Charlotte so far this year. Is just the fact that they, again, don't have a great center. And it's going to hurt them until they can get one. Hopefully, whether they trade for one and draft one, they can get one at some point. But not having a center of at least mid-tier quality is really hurting the Charlotte Hornets group. It did last year. It does again this year. I think it's the biggest thing that's really separating the Charlotte Hornets team from being a potential playoff team that you have to consider to a team that is going to be in the playoffs. That's my thoughts on the Charlotte Hornets up to this point in the season. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to watch another one of my videos, then be sure to click the box on screen on my thoughts about the Minnesota Timberwolves up to this point in time in the season. That being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.